was missing. Better late than never for you and me.
Welcome everyone to Coachinginsession. My name is Michael Reardon, and I'll be your coach this evening, or this afternoon rather. Today is going to be a special treat because we're doing Coachinginsession at a different time than we typically would do. Typically, it's Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. But this week, I'm going to be experimenting with different times to see interaction, to see what works best for my schedule too. And so today is going to be not a one-off, but it's going to be a test. And then Friday is going to be probably the last test to see if I want to continue to do it at different times or to go back to the evening. So if you haven't done already, if it's your first time here, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things that videos like. And let's get into it. So mainstream diets, what are they, right? That's going to be your keto, your paleo, your Whole30, all of those wonderful diets that say, hey, you can lose all this weight if you follow this plan. And it's miraculous where people say, oh, I was on keto and I lost 30 pounds and all this great things. Right. Yeah. It's really good that people can lose a lot of weight on a certain diet. But is losing that weight healthy? Is losing that weight sustainable? And that's where people fall short of understanding that a fad diet is exactly that. It's a fad, right? It's for a short period of time where you say, okay, I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Because a fad diet is something that should be temporary. Now, if you wanted to lose weight quickly for a wedding, if you have a photo shoot, or if you're going on a business venture or an adventure in general, and you wanted to get in better shape and lose a few pounds, go for it, right? A fad diet is going to do that for you. And yeah, you might lose the weight you need in 30 days or 60 days. But is that what you want? Do you want to lose weight for a month or 2 months? Or do you want to lose this weight for a lifetime? And that's where people struggle. People go on these diets and then all of a sudden they realize, oh, I gained all the weight back. Because the thing about diets is it's not so much the diet that's helping you lose the weight, it's your habit. So you develop a habit for 30 days or a month or, for several months. And then you say, okay, well, I lost the weight and I'm just going to kind of do what I was doing, your original habits. And then you gain back all the weight. And you wonder, why am I gaining back all this weight? Did the diet not work? Well, the diet did work. You did lose the weight, but then you got your habits, your pre-existing habits, or the habits before you went on a diet, they came back in your life. And now you're faced with a decision. Do you change your habits or do you go back on a fad diet? And many people decide to go back on a fad diet. It's similar to the rat race here in any part of the world where people work paycheck to paycheck. You're just going from diet to diet, hoping one is going to stick. But that's not the case, and that shouldn't be the case, because that is not how the human body functions. And once you realize how the human body functions, then you can start to say, now I know what my body needs in order for me to get in shape. And you need to know several things. You need to know your body type. You need to know what type of foods you can eat that are going to be beneficial for your growth and your weight loss, because not every food is going to agree with someone the same. For example, me and pasta. If I eat pasta, I gain weight. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If I eat breads, I gain weight. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Rice is the only carb that I can eat and not gain a crazy amount of weight. Actually, I take that back. Potatoes are the second carb I can use. But if I eat pasta, or if I have some type of like bread, the weight's tacking on, right? My body doesn't like it, right? Maybe I'm gluten free, maybe there's some type of allergy I have that when I have a certain type of grain, my body says, oh, let's spike the insulin and let's start to trigger the fat storing cells in the body. It's very possible that that could be the case. But what I did was take away all the science and I did the experimenting for myself. I ate foods 1 week at a time and I weighed myself before and after. I said, okay, well, what does pasta do to me? Well, pasta made me gain 3 weights, like 3 pounds of weight this week. Rice made me gain 1 pound. Potatoes made me gain 1 pound. Breads, I gained 4 pounds. So I figure out what type of foods work for me. And that's what you have to do too. You have to figure out what type of foods work for you. And that's where people fall short. And that's where people think a fad diet is going to come in and magically fix their, fix their diet, fix their health displeasures, their body image. And to a certain extent it does. But a fad diet doesn't teach you about your body. And everybody's going to be different. And at a certain age, your body's going to start to react different. When I was younger and when I was in high school, I was able to go out and eat whatever I wanted. Now, not so much the case. I have to be careful. And I have to understand my maintenance calories. And I have to understand what type of macro I'm putting into my body every day. But I have a trick that I'm going to tell you either this week or next week about what I do in order to maintain my physique, my body image, effortlessly. So let's get into the workshop today and let's start talking about the mainstream diet because that's going to be important for us to understand. So mainstream diets are just simply fad diets. And they're the diets you see in magazines, on the internet. Maybe you'll hear it from a friend or a doctor, and they'll say, oh, you have to try this diet. It's so amazing. I lost 59 pounds and I look fabulous. Okay, thank you for telling me that. But now you're hooked. You're enticed. You said, whoa, you lost 62 pounds in 1 month? That sounds like a plan. And then they even tack on, it's so easy. Because things that are easy, we want to do. Because the human mind is not conditioned to do things that are difficult. We have to structure our mind and fortify to become resilient in order to do challenging things. That's why so many people quit. That's why so many people are afraid of failure. So when we're faced with a fad diet, we are faced with an opportunity to have our easy and no challenge. But there's a problem with that challenge, right? Because the challenge is we have a fad diet and we do it for a prolonged period of time, but yet that prolonged period of time doesn't mean it's going to give us the lifestyle we want in a year from now, in 5 years from now, because some of those diets are not sustainable. Would you like to have salad and a chicken breast every single day for the rest of your life and never deviate from that? Most of you are going to say no. You're going to want your pizzas and your cakes and your burgers, and that's fine. You should go out and enjoy life. So we have to start to figure out if there's a diet that's going to work for us, right? If these mainstream diets are not necessarily good for us, what diets are going to be good for us? What type of diets can we follow that are going to help us get the body of our dreams, help us maintain the weight we want and the appearance we want to represent in our daily lives? So, yes, fad diets, you will lose weight. I recommend fad diets if you're trying to get in shape for a wedding that's in a month or two, and you say, oh, I need to lose weight, and you go on a fad diet for a month or two. And then after the month or two, you have got to your goal. You lost the weight. You're looking sexified and you're looking good. But guess what? After that wedding and after the lights went down, now you're faced with reality. And that is, do you go back to your old habits, your old way of being, or do you continue down this path? And the majority of people decide to go back to their habits, right? Because it feels good, it felt good, and they don't really want to change, right? They already changed, and they think that since they changed, they're going to be able to keep off the weight. They just have to curb their eating. So it's not so much about the fad diet. It's more so about the habits. But fad diets long-term have a detrimental effect on the body. Certain fad diets are going to be missing key nutrients that we need in our body. Do you ever wonder why you crave a certain food? Do you ever wonder why you are addicted to eating certain genres of food consistently? It's because your body understands that's how it's going to get its energy, and it gives you mental signals, neurological signals that it wants something. So if your body is craving pasta or craving cake, it wants something. Now, typically, that sugar is just a craving, an addictive type of substance where they're saying, oh, we want sugar, even though your body doesn't need sugar. But if you take away sugar from the thought process and you start to crave certain things like, I'm craving like a piece of bread, or I'm craving a steak, it's your body telling you that, hey, I want this food because it's going to give me the nutrients I need. And there's been stories of people who have been stranded on islands who would go fishing, and they're eating the flesh of the fish, and they're being sustained, but then they get an urge to have fish eyes. They want to eat the fish eye. And that sounds repulsive. You want to eat a fish eye, but they do it because their body understands, hey, I need this B12 that's in the fish eye. And your body knows that. And whether that be because of DNA imprinting from our 100,000 years of our current evolution of the human race, simply knowing that fact, and it's in our knowledge, it's in our DNA, where we're saying, oh, I need fish eyes to get B12. The body knows what it wants. But when you start to restrict it, then it starts to act up. And then that's where the deficiencies come into play. Whether it be metabolic, mental health, stress, anxiety, or the fear of gaining weight again. All of that is going to be detrimental to your mental health and your progress toward the body you're looking for. So for me, I wanted to try one of these fad diets. I said, I'm going to go try keto, right? There was some belly fat, some stubborn belly fat that I wanted. I was still in decent shape, but there was some stubborn belly fat that I had. And I said, I want to get rid of that. And I said, oh, keto burns fat. So that would be the best fad diet, or the best diet for me to go on. And so that's what I did. I went on keto and I lost weight. I lost 10 pounds of weight. I lost muscle too. I went through the keto flu. I went through all the things keto says that is a possibility. But I also reached my goal. But the thing about keto is you have to pay attention. So for me, I was new into dieting. Before, I would eat whatever I wanted and I would not gain weight. But when I hit 28 years old, my body started to say, hey, buddy, you can't eat whatever you want anymore and not have any repercussions. So that meant I had to start to figure out what my body needed, how my body changed. And keto is a high-fat diet. So I was eating avocados, eggs, fatty brisket, pork, all of the things keto says that you're supposed to be having. And I had it, but to the extent where it was too much. So now my fat content was higher and my maintenance calories was more than met. So my body couldn't burn the fat quick enough. And so I started to gain weight. And yeah, it was my fault. I'm not going to say that the keto diet didn't work, because it did work, but it didn't give me the results I was looking for. And also, I had these crazy cravings for all the sugars and all the sweets that I used to have, more so than I did when I had them. And I always thought that was weird. So yeah, keto helped me lose the weight, but I wanted to eat more. I wanted to eat more foods that I loved. I wanted to eat pizza again. I wanted to eat cakes. I wanted to figure out a diet that would work for me. And so that's when I started to do some more research. Maybe keto wasn't meant for my lifestyle. And so that meant I needed to go figure out what I wanted. And that's when I did if it fits your macros. So I calculated my macros and I said, all right, this is going to be what I need for myself. And that's what I implemented. If it fits your macros, I figured out my maintenance calories. I figure out how much I need to simply survive each day. And that was more of my forte. I said, I need this many calories, and that's what I'm going to have. And then I started to implement fasting, whether it be a 24-hour fast, a 48-hour fast, or simply intermittent fasting. And it fit my schedule so easily. It was miraculous almost. I was able to eat once a day. It was easy to follow. And I had as many cheat days as I really wanted, but I always gave myself one. And what that did was structure my mindset, structure my neurological way of thinking, my cravings per se. And it allowed me to say, hey, I don't need cakes every day. I already had cake last month. I already had some cookies 2 weeks ago. I don't need any more. I already had it. So from that point, I realized that, oh, this might be the diet for me. And I discovered something. I said, I can make my life very simple. And I had got some meal prep Tupperware containers, and I started to weigh out my food, and I would do all the things that you're supposed to do on dieting, meal prep, things like that. And I realized that I don't have to weigh my food every single time. I can use the radius of a meal prep container and say, last time I put this much food in this meal prep container and I gained 2 pounds. So that meant I can take some food away, and then I can figure out what I really wanted, right? Did I want to gain weight? Did I want to lose weight? Did I want to maintain weight? And once I had the proper numbers for my body type, right? It took some experimenting. Once I had the proper numbers for my body type, easy street. I was able to eat whatever I wanted and not be restricted by a fad diet. Because fad diets do not work long term. Yes, you will lose the weight, but if you don't maintain on the fad diet, you will gain back that weight. Because the thing about keto, for example, is keto changes the way your cells operate. The body's natural energy source is carbs. And in order for your body to switch over to going to fat, it needs to change those cells and how they look at fat. Because the body naturally sees fat as something as storage. And if you have more calories coming in, more carbs coming in, than you need, your body is so smart, but it's dumb. It says, oh, well, we ate too much today. You know, like we didn't even burn all these calories. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do you a favor. And I'm going to store all this extra food that you ate today, all these calories, as fat. And that's why you start to gain fat. It's because your calorie intake was more than what your body needed. And that can be remedied several ways, but we're not going to get into that right now. So understanding how your body works, you can start to figure out what needs to be done. So yeah, fad diets are not a long-term method for you to figure out the body you need, right? It's a short-term fix, right? If you wanted to get in shape for a wedding, go for it, right? Go on a keto, go on paleo, go on Whole30. Choose what diet you want. But then you have to figure out what type of food habits you need to create in order to maintain or sustain the life you want. Do you want to be restricted on the foods you can eat, or do you want to be able to have whatever you want without the guilt of eating a cake or a cookie or a piece of bread? Find the foods you love, find foods you like to eat on a frequent basis or a consistent basis, and follow that. But remember, it's important to give your body the nutrition it needs, because if you're going to deprive it from the foods it's craving, you could be missing out on some key nutrients. And it's important to not miss those nutrients. Now, if your body's always craving cakes and sugars, then you just need to get better habits. And for me, I can curb my eating of sweets and sugars very easily. I have my one time a month where I say, okay, well, I'm going to have some cake. I'm going to have some cookies, maybe some brownies. And then after that, I'm done. And then it's back to getting in shape. I might even go for a 24 to 48 hour fast cleanse after I've ate junk food. So what should you do next, right? I've been talking about fad diets, been talking about mainstream diets, all these diets and how they're good for you short term, but long term, they're not going to be beneficial. So long term beneficial plans, how do you get them? Well, easy. Head over to revenconcepts.com and reach out to me, get a free consultation. We can talk about your body type. We can talk about what type of lifestyle you want to have, and then we can work toward that. And of course, you can always choose one of the affordable monthly plans and then go to the next level. So if you have any questions on what I spoke about in the workshop today, email me at michael@revenconcepts.com and just let me know that you were listening to the workshop and you have some questions or you would like to get started. So all in all, when it comes to fad diets, we are going to be forced to change the way we look at food or keep going back to these fad diets. But then that's going to be similar to the rat race, right? We're always looking for the next fad diet. We're always looking for the next trend. We're always looking for the next paycheck, right? It's always going to be a loop. And we want to get out of a way of thinking about a loop. And it's important not to be thinking about a loop, because if you're going to be in the mindset of always being in the same repetitive thing, guess what happens? Progress is going to be diminished. And it's important to not reduce your progress levels, because the momentum that we can create from a fad diet or from working out is going to be beneficial long term. And people fail to understand the power of momentum, because once you start something, it allows you to finish. And people don't understand that the momentum that they get in a fad diet can help them keep that weight off. but their habits typically are the detrimental part. So dealing with your habits, dealing with what doesn't work for you is going to be important. So again, if you have any questions, you can always email me. If you have any questions for the podcast, email me at coachinginsession@gmail.com. Of course, always will email you back. If you're looking to work with me, head over to revenconcepts.com, head over to the membership tab, and just figure out what membership works best for you. This is Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Reardon, and I will talk to you on Friday at probably 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So stay tuned for that. And until then, take care.